was when I asked him if he's transformed, and he said yes, and then I said, are you sure? Then he said, well, no, I'm not sure. For people on the computer, that would be proof that he isn't, because he's not sure of it. That's the difference between how somebody, transformed, if you will, I don't really care, but somebody for whom this happened, the way they look at something is, if you're absolutely certain of it, then it can't be.
Probably a
because
belief.
there's no certainty, there's no absolute.
And that's
But-
the way you came across.
Yeah, when
If
you
there
started
wasn't any
telling
doubt,
everybody you were
wasn't any doubt.
transformed, there
But
was
I'm
no
just saying,
doubt, and you were
if you're
sure. and-
If we're in a room talking, in a transformation room talking, and there's a bunch of people in there, and I say, Brian, are you transformed? He says, yes. They're all going to hear that, and they're going to say, well, I don't know whether he is or not. Then I say, Brian, are you sure? And Brian says, well, no, I'm not positive. Everybody, most of the people in the room would say, see, I knew he wasn't.
He's full of shit.
He'd not- if he wasn't, he'd know for sure. Well, you don't know for sure. How many times have you heard me say about that thing in 1979? I say this about it, that I dropped dead and born myself new. Am I sure? No, I'm not so positive. I don't know
here's what I
for
would
sure,
say.
but that's what I say happened.
Here's what I'll say I'm sure
So
about.
either it did or it didn't.
I'm sure, this is, I guess we
I
say
have to
sure.
hurry up and get it in before you start talking.
We gotta be fast.
Yeah.
Something happened, the feelings dropped away, for the most part, I'm living my life in a completely different way. And if that,
That's all you need to, when you make this, you've never really heard me say too much about this thing, this statement of transformation. But that's what you need to say, because that's the truth. What more can you say about it? I made up the reason I have trouble somewhat with it is because I made up the word, I didn't make up the word transformation. I made it up as an expression of what happened to me, because I looked from 1979 to 1982. Those 4 years I traveled around, I went to workshops, I looked to discover what happened to me, and one day I picked up a Krishnamurti book, and there I found 2 words that described it. Mutation of the brain, a mutation of my brain, and transformation. So I looked at those 2 words and I said, they both describe it, but I don't particularly care about the word mutation, because it implies mutilation, it implies a violent act, where transformation implies being blue one day and green the next, but green permanent.